Yeah.
streaming and recording.
All right. I'm going to call this meeting of the Italian Village Commission to order. Our next business meeting will be Tuesday, December 30th. That is happening, right?
As of now, I'll check in on attendance and it might be canceled.
Okay, at 12 p.m. The next month's hearing will be Tuesday, January 13th at 4 p.m. Swear you in, Nick? Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth to the best of your ability this evening?
Yes.
Okay. Introduction of commissioners present.
Paige Kaplansky.
Shannon Salvador.
Joe Berardi.
Jordan Smith.
I'll let Commissioner Sudi sit down.
Jason Sudi.
Do we have a public forum?
There are no items for public forum.
Okay. Do you want, I can pause and then you could do staff approvals.
Give me a sec.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. You already sworn staff, right?
Yep.
You're cooking. All right. Approval of staff approvals. What page do we have today for our beginning? Looks like
2.
wow, page 2. Gotcha. Okay. Can I have a motion for approval of staff approvals
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'll read through for abstentions. 1096 say. So long one. 714 North High. 157 Warren. 266 East Third. That's it. No abstentions anywhere. All right. Hearing none. It's passes as voted on. Okay. So going back to the start. Do we have a motion for approval of the minutes from November 10th, 2025?
Moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And abstentions? Okay, motion carries. With that, staff, do we need to know anything before we dive into this agenda?
I don't believe so. I haven't heard from any applicants, so as far as we know, everyone will be arriving soon, hopefully, and your first applicant is present.
Okay, well, that makes it easy. Then we'll call you up to the table here, 1119 Mount Pleasant Avenue. It's COA 2500977. If you want to have a seat. And once you get settled in, we'll get you sworn in. All right, will you please raise your right hand and state your name for the record?
Buzzy Bittinger. Is this on?
I think it's working, yeah.
Okay.
And do you promise to tell the truth in your testimony to the best of your ability this afternoon?
I do.
Excellent. So we'll have staff and then we'll go to you and then it'll be our turn. So up for you, staff.
Yes. This is a request for action for signage to install a 26.5-inch by 13-inch metal hanging sign that hangs 9 feet from the ground, with the sign bar being 11 feet from the ground, and to install an outdoor camera. The work has been completed. This application is the result of a code violation with the number listed in your agenda. There was no December business meeting, so staff analysis is that the installed sign is appropriate and does follow the Short North design guidelines for signage. HPO staff placed this application on the agenda as the outdoor security camera falls outside of the scope of a staff approval. Because the work has already been completed, HPO staff directed both portions of the application to the commission for review and approval. But the recommendation on this is approval of the application COA 2500977 as submitted. The basis for that recommendation is the Short North design guidelines on signage, pages 3.37. And those are the pages. So that's all.
All right, nice and easy. I love it. Yeah, what do you have for us?
Hi, everyone. My name's Buzzy. I'm the owner of Studio West 614. We moved to Mount Pleasant in July, I believe. We're going into our 4th season. We are a dance studio. We are an inclusive space, particularly for LGBTQ plus youth and adults. This move was extremely exciting. Business is booming, and I I want to first apologize. I didn't know that I needed permission for the signage. I was also in the middle of breast cancer treatment. My brain was kind of all over the place. I'm now cancer free, so we're on the other side of that. Thank you. So I'm very sorry. I would have absolutely requested for this. Yeah,
Like half the agenda.
from our our previous studio. I didn't have none of this was
Yeah.
was a thing before.
worries.
So I honestly just didn't know. So I am very, very sorry. And I appreciate you all taking the time to meet with me and hear my
Big
case.
deal, honestly. It happens. It happens.
Does it? Okay. That makes me feel
So
better.
we'll just talk through it. Anybody want to jump in? Have any thoughts?
I don't have any issues with the sign. I think this camera is similar to what we've seen on other businesses.
Mm.
It's like very like the market right next door to where I live has a very similar
Yep.
like 2 or 3 on their building. So I have no problem with that either.
Other thoughts?
Yep, I'd agree. Okay.
Joe?
No comments.
Jordan?
Yep, no comments.
Carly, you can jump in here in a second if you need to. Yeah, no comments. The one thing I will say I'm very excited about is last year on the annual garbage pickup day for Italian Village, this was like 4 bags of garbage, like right around here, because it was before you moved in. It
Okay.
was like an abandoned zone. And I'm just so glad somebody's in here.
Oh,
'Cause,
good.
I mean, there
Okay.
were tires up there. Like it was bad. It was clearly a place
Oh.
for loitering and just like things were getting tossed out. Nobody was caring for it. So
Oh, okay.
this is a huge improvement, and this is very additive to the neighborhood. And I think it's great. There's no issues with the sign.
Okay.
Just a lot of things you don't even need to come in for, but if you just contact staff, if you want to do something on the exterior, they can tell you whether or not it's
Wonderful.
something you can do just on your own. You might have to fill out an
Mhm.
application. You may or may not have to come in here. For
Okay.
most basic things, you don't have to do anything.
Okay.
But just so you don't get stuck in a similar situation,
Mhm.
there's kind of a large concrete area out front.
Mhm.
If you ever want to do anything out there, just consult with staff and they can let you know
Okay.
if you need to pivot or
Okay.
keep moving forward.
That is wonderful to hear because I was going to ask if I could. Our sign is so small, and I think I would like to have something where it's more obvious that we are a dance studio. I think a lot of people miss the sign completely. So I mean, I can reach out a separate time, but
Yeah, work with staff. One of the things that's pretty ingrained into the neighborhood, as I'm sure you're aware, is there's a lot of art components.
Yeah.
So while there are signage requirements for location and size, there are a lot less requirements when it comes to art.
Okay.
So just think about it that way. If there's something that, especially since you have a bit of a blank canvas here, since it's
Mhm.
a nondescript building
Mhm.
and you've got a big area in the front,
Mhm.
if there's some way you could, maybe incorporate art to indicate to people that
Would
dance is
love.
happening there,
Would love.
that would
Yes.
be great for
Yes.
us and it'd hopefully be really nice for you.
Yeah, I would. That's what I had in my mind. So
Perfect.
that's
We love
wonderful.
it.
Yeah.
Sounds great. The other thing you can always do if you have a concept that's really basic,
Mhm.
as basic as it is, you can come in for a conceptual review, which just
Okay.
means you have no obligation to do anything. You can just come in and we'll talk to you about it.
Mhm.
And then we'll give you our opinions and then
Okay.
you can pursue it or not.
Awesome.
So hopefully
Wonderful.
very easy. I'm glad to hear you're doing well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. With that, can I have a motion for approval?
Move.
Okay. Motion to approve COA 2500977 as submitted.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right, great. Thanks a lot. Good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
Yep, appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
All right. Do we have 79 Hamlet? Is that what you're here for? Nope.
I believe the only applicant currently present is for application four.
Or you're Warren? You're,
6 more.
yeah, are you ready? Ready to jump right in? It's exciting. Don't even have time to catch your breath. Okay, this is 86 Warren Street, COA 2501282 -8. Oh no, never mind. That's it. 2. I'm done. I'm done saying it. And if you will raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Steve Hurd with Urban Order Architecture.
And you promise to tell the truth to the best of your ability this afternoon. Excellent. All right, staff.
Yes, this is a request for action for an exterior building alteration. to replace 24 original wood windows with new Marvin Ultimate aluminum clad wood windows, which are from the approved list, and to replace 2 non-original windows with new Marvin Ultimate windows. There was no, the staff analysis, there was no December business meeting, and we note there are 2 non-original windows on the property that HPO staff would support replacing, as they are currently aluminum windows. And I'm sorry, I can start scrolling through these windows as well. HPO staff did complete a site visit to examine the condition of the windows in June of 2023. Following the site visit, HPO staff determined that the existing windows on the property were historic and in repairable condition. HPO staff advised the applicant we advised the applicant of the site visit and these findings, and the applicant requested to present the windows to the commission for final determination at this hearing. HPO staff from the current photos still find the windows to be historic and in repairable condition. Our recommendation on this one is to split the application into 2 parts, with part A being the 2 non-original aluminum windows and part B being all of the original historic windows. With the recommendation to approve part A for those 2 non-original aluminum windows to be replaced, and to continue part B to allow the applicant time to explore the repair of those windows. The basis for that recommendation is City Code 311611, 2, 5, 6, and 12, and the Italian Village Guidelines on windows. And that's all.
Okay, over to you.
The reason that I'm here, I understand the Historic Preservation Office and staff is always about repairing original fabric. In my experience, a few years ago, the Historic Preservation Office went through all of that process about windows and when to repair and what, if we're replacing them, what should they be replaced with? And I've gotten approval to replace many windows in historic districts. And I've also tried to, me or my clients have tried to fix these old windows. And it's just sort of a stopgap. Like, they still don't function. We end up replacing parts of them, like rails and stiles, and the wood that we use now is much worse than the window, or than the wood that is in those existing windows. And in this case, we also have some non-functioning storm windows that, whatever, those are also sort of obscuring any original fabric that we have. So
Those
we have
would be
that.
removed then if the new windows were put in place, the storm windows they'd sort of be integrated.
If we got new windows, we
Yeah.
would get rid of the storm windows.
Gotcha.
So it is sort of an arduous process to repair old wood windows. I've done it. It's mostly, it's just not as successful. So I believe in this case, my client would just leave the windows that they have. And then maybe we would look for storm windows, but I'm also not having a good luck. Nobody's making storm windows anymore. So, we have failing windows, bad storm windows. We don't have a great option to get new storm windows. And to fix the existing windows, we're just sort of
What's happening with these, the ones that are swinging?
Those are in that side dormer that's on the 2nd floor above the porch.
Okay.
And you can sort of see that those don't fit. I don't know where they came from.
Would you be replacing with something that was similar or completely different?
The same simulated divided light casement window that would look like that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right. Who wants to dive in on this one?
I have a question, and maybe this is a silly question, I don't know, but when you look at these photographs, the interiors in almost all cases look beautiful and perfect. And then on the outside is where the rot is occurring. is it because of flashing? Am I just getting the wrong picture because I don't know exactly what window I'm looking at because they aren't labeled? Nice job of labeling them on the outside, but then the pictures, I don't think have
Yeah.
a label in them. So I'm a little
So,
confused
like,
what
if you look
the.
at, if you look at that window,
Mhm.
there's deterioration on that bottom rail that somebody sort of tried to putty, or I don't know what they were trying to do, but that's deteriorated. And then there are shots of the window open. So when you see that open, it's the side stiles are hollow from where
Is
where
there
they're
no
joined.
flashing? What's going on that there's?
Well, this is the
The wind
interior
sign.
window, so the flashing would be,
No, but I mean on the exterior, when you see that, is it flashing and a flashing problem? Why are, I mean, some of these windows look really bad.
so originally the windows were installed within the brick wall. And then water would go down to the sill and wash out. Then sometime they put storm windows on. And when you put storm windows on, there's supposed to be weep holes at the bottom to let that water out. Painters like to caulk them. So then any water that does get between the storm window and the prime window causes damage.
They're probably decades old storm windows too, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, they
they're
look
generation.
old. Yeah, I mean, even if they didn't caulk them, they easily just could have gotten plugged by.
And there's a
anything.
lot of paint.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that addresses your question. The flashing would have, there probably wasn't originally flashing on the original wood window because it's setting back
Yeah.
3 inches from the
Right.
face. And everything would wash out to the sill.
So the homeowners have done cosmetic improvements to the inside to basically try to make the best of it.
Yes.
Yeah. I gotcha.
But you can see like there's a photo of like the lock, the
Right.
upper and bottom sash, they don't line up, so that doesn't work. So then somebody drilled holes to put nails in to hold the windows.
Yeah, I
So
saw that.
because, and this could be fixed with re-roping and all of those things, but
Sure.
the upper sashes drop or they're caulked shut.
Understood. All right. You're usually a window person. What do you think?
I'm a window well, I think it's, I mean, from a cost perspective, right now, with the funding that's available, it's cheaper to renovate them because you can get like 20 grand a year from the Department of Health for lead abatement. And that's the renovation of your wood windows. I have a couple friends doing that right now in Victorian Village. I was very sad that I couldn't do that because mine were already vinyl. So I mean, that, I guess that's why I think we haven't really been seeing a lot of these requests because I think people are using that money to renovate. So that's a question I have, if you guys have looked into that.
I have not.
Because these aren't, I would say, like, I get it, but they're not beyond, I don't think any of them look like fully beyond repair. Like, if this were my house, I would, and I had free money, free grant money, I would do that instead. Because I mean, these obviously have lead paint on them, right?
They have all the paint on them.
Yeah, they've. So my question is, has that been looked into? And then if it hasn't, I don't know. I can't really remember. I feel like it's just been a while. I forget what we've been doing, very honestly.
I mean, it's been a little bit. It's been kind of case by case basis.
Yeah.
I think that that right there, again, it's very hard to know just from the one shot, but like for me, that one seems like that did probably get replaced,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I guess that's that I am sympathetic to your argument that if they all need replacement physical pieces that would then substitute for the original. Like, it's kind of like, how many pieces then are we replacing until it's not the original window? So from my take, I think this one, the exterior shots look pretty bad to me. The one thing I'm really liking in your argument is the potential to get rid of the storm windows, because it's such a nice house. It's such a cool house. And I think that would be an additive for me. So that's why I'm feeling a little more flexible about it. But again, I can't say that that's definitive on my part. So other thoughts?
I have another question. Will you be able to duplicate the profile of the windows and the trim and everything as it is?
Yes.
That's critical, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think Marvin has done a really good job of, this is what an old window looks.
yeah.
And all of the trim pieces and things will be the same.
Yeah, so this will be installed to the back of the existing brick mold. Exterior trim.
So the wood brick mold stays in place and you're just replacing everything?
Yeah, so
Or-
yeah, so there's a square
Mhm.
exterior trim, then it drops in, and our new window will just be that profile that would exist where the storm windows are installed now. Sort of to Jason's point, these are really old storm windows that were haphazardly installed. They're helping, but they're awful. And then to Shannon's point, even if we could get a grant for lead paint abatement, I don't know that I still like that solution. I think I would still push.
Because of the storms.
Hmm.
Because of the storms.
Oh, you hit something?
I was just gonna say, for me, the sashes don't look as bad and those look repairable. I'm looking at photo 14. I think having more photos like that to show the jam, the head, that deterioration, I think would put it over the top for me, because I just don't think there's enough photographic examples, and I think you're saying that that's predominantly the case where the paint is peeling, there's probably dew point issues with that storm panel where there's condensation and there's no ventilation with that weep. But, I think more examples to kind of show how that deterioration has happened on the frame would kind of put it over the top for me.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree with that too. I think from the standpoint of, like you were saying, the function of the operability and the fact that since these are single pane and you have to have that storm window, both of those like functional pieces are a good argument for replacement. But I would agree that seeing more of that evidence of the jam, which is harder replacement rather than the sashes, like you were saying, that might just be a lot of paint or whatever it may be, I think will help sway the commission.
So we have, anybody else? I'm sorry.
I just had one more
Sure.
thing is, we always require a drawing or
I think
for
we're
each
on.
condition that would show how you're going to, do the new brick molds and that kind of thing. So that would be a part of the submission.
I actually have that
Good. I thought so.
from many other applications.
With regard to actually that image there, kind of the more craftsman-esque button pattern, are you guys sticking with that, or
Yes.
would you guys consider doing something a little bit different? Seems a little stylistically a little
different than the rest
Yeah.
of the house.
Yeah.
I can be open to that.
I would be open to something else.
My sort of my go-to is if we don't know what it is, we go back with what is there. I don't know. Like we did a garage there with a 4-light casement, which I'm sure that my client would be open to that. Or is that what is that what you're looking for, to get it more double hung-ish?
Yeah, I think that would probably, at least for me, I think that would be kind of a nice option.
So, with, the transition in staff, just to get a sense of what your comfort level is, sometimes what we'll do is, sort of a subcommittee based on the recommendations. Are you comfortable with that, or is that something that you'd rather have to go a different direction? What do you think?
Subcommittees are, very typical. I've done them before, and
Okay.
I'm like, if that's your preference here, I definitely think it's appropriate.
Okay. Do we have a couple folks that would be willing to take that on if Steve was able to submit some additional photos to, kind of get a sense of that, whether they thought that was,
Yeah, I can do that.
okay, sounds good. So sounds like Joe and Paige are willing to take that on. So with that,
Sorry, the subcommittee consisting of who?
oh,
Myself
Joe Page.
and Joe.
Okay, thank you.
And then, so then we can make a motion that's essentially contingent upon their findings in that process. And then ideally, get it resolved based on what is shown and what we find.
So am I moving it to go to subcommittee, or I have to move to approve?
I think we move to approve with the subcommittee's review. Is that right?
Yeah, approve on the condition of the subcommittee's final approval.
Okay.
I have one more question.
Sure.
Nick, do you know if there are other photos from the staff site visit, or did you put them all in here?
I put them all in that we had on file into the packet. I think
It was sort of weird because
I can
this was an
double check.
application that started with Connie Torbeck,
Oh, okay.
and
Let me see.
my client got frustrated, and then it was COVID.
Things happen.
It's 86.
A long trail of individual property applications.
I have May of 23. Oh. Well, now I'm seeing these here. These are from May of 2020. If you does the commission want to see these photos now?
Honestly, I don't think so, because it's
Okay.
been 5 years, 5.5 years. So at this point, I mean, that a lot can
Just
happen.
photos may help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a little damage.
More current
Yeah.
photos.
Okay.
Yeah, 5.5 years, a lot can go wrong. So,
All right. I thought my
but I appreciate you digging this up.
WebEx stopped. We're all good.
All right. So, motion then?
Yeah.
All right.
Move to approve application COA 2501282 on the condition that our subcommittee reviews submitted materials, including additional photos and details of exactly how the window will attach to the brick. Is that the correct way to say that? Okay. Yeah. And if they are good with the level of damage, if they decide that the level of damage warrants replacement, then the product that you have submitted is good to go.
And did you want the subcommittee to review the casement style, the final casement style
Yes.
selection? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstentions? All right. Sounds good.
Great, thank you.
All right.
Just waiting.
Stay away from that lead paint.
I don't know.
No doubt.
Yeah. But
Um,
I'm telling you that you should look into that for other clients, that program. It's like 20K.
awesome.
You have to do it. You can't do it all at once if you want all the money, because they only give you like 20,000 a year. There's like a maximum because it's tax return. It's a
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
tax credit.
It's pretty good.
But yeah, Mario,
bad.
yeah, Mario's getting 40 grand out of that.
It's pretty great. Yeah, and you get nice new windows. So,
Thank you.
neighborhood, thank you. Okay, so staff, is there anything else we can do without the applicants here? We've got three.
So there were item 5 in particular, we thought the commission, if there was a business meeting, might be able to move that to staff approval. And so we can read that into the record, and if you
Sure.
can approve to, if you are going to vote to approve as submitted, you can do that here without the applicant present for any of the cases on the agenda.
All right, let's try that one. So we're going to do 688 North High Street, which is COA 2501292.
This is a request for action for an exterior building alteration to remove 2 existing 6-panel wood entrance doors and to install 2 full light storefront doors per the submitted materials. And the staff analysis here is that the 2 existing doors are non-historic 6-panel doors. The applicant proposes replacing the doors with storefront entrance doors. And given the doors are not historic and the replacement doors are on the first floor in line with the storefronts, HPO staff find the storefront doors to be suitable replacement doors in their proposed locations. The recommendation is approval, with the basis for the recommendation being 3-1-6-11, standards for alteration 2, 5, and 6, and the Italian Village guidelines on doors.
Okay, excellent. Anybody have thoughts, comments?
My thought is that even though they say those doors aren't historic, that there is a certain kind of character to having that much wood versus having a completely open glass door. And I like the fact that there is something in there. I don't know that we can ask them to keep that for that reason, but I'm assuming they're also keeping the wood panels that are above the door as they are, which has a certain kind of historic characteristic, which I think contributes to the historic nature of the building. So I'm okay with it, but I just, anybody else felt like maybe there shouldn't be so much wood removed and replaced totally with a glass door. I would agree with that.
Any other thoughts?
Like,
So,
I'm
Okay.
thinking that the panel at the bottom of the door from the detail that they showed is maybe the height of the bottom of the 6-panel door. So it's relatively small compared to the other pieces along the front facade where it's probably 18 or 20 some inches tall. I don't know. Does anybody else feel like this is too contemporary?
You got a thumb?
yeah, so it's truly just the door panel itself that would be replaced, is that correct?
Yes, it's this, basically the slab is coming out. and they're
Okay.
Putting in the new. As far as I'm understanding, let me check their specifications.
Yeah, I would have, just with all of the wood trim around it, it would be nice if it could be a wood door with, I don't mind how whatever amount of glass they would want to see in it, but I think that would align a bit more with the adjacent storefronts. And then maybe like Carla was talking about, you could get that larger like kick plate base if it was more of a 3/4 door or something. But I guess that's it's my opinion on how it could align with the neighboring properties and the rest of the case itself with those 2 wood panels above and the clerestory window above too.
And if there's more information you'd like to see from the applicant, I think you can definitely proceed with continuing,
Okay.
and we can relay this kind of feedback and see what else they can submit for the January hearing.
And knowing which of these styles, is it narrow, medium, or wide?
Yeah.
It's the medium that they've
Yeah.
selected.
I think that the wide would probably do what you're
Right.
requesting.
And then maybe if there's a band at the base as well. I mean, this facade is so nicely detailed. So I hate to just see this contemporary part, even though, where it says the gallery. is relatively contemporary. But I do think, sometimes when they just send us a product cut, they're not specific enough to let us know. We need to see what that elevation is going to look like.
Yeah, like this one shows the like exit push bar from the inside. So that would be very obvious from the outside as well, if that
The
was,
straight glass.
yeah,
Yeah.
which,
Yeah, maybe
be
they
a-
haven't thought this through.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. When you all continue it, they'll get that continued letter and I'll incorporate all this feedback so they can kind of
Okay.
reconsider their
Yeah.
selection here.
So for that one, just a hardware,
Oh, yeah.
specific hardware that they're planning to use would be helpful for that one as well.
I almost wonder if it could be slightly taller. Cause it's, if you look at the elevation,
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
the transom bar goes across pretty consistently and then they added another one to that.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, it's like almost like a
It's
spacer.
a fake transom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if you can go taller with it.
I think I like that idea because I think then the glass suits the frontage of the building because it's in line with all the other.
Yeah.
The
It creates a nice
686.
continuity across that
It's
storefront.
probably going to be a relatively custom door. I like
Yeah.
it too, but
Yeah.
I don't mind the double transom. I thought it was interesting that ended up being that way. But I'm sure you could get a door that
I
high.
wonder if that's painted glass.
Interesting
That could be
question.
too, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
So-
Yeah, interesting. Okay, sounds like we're going to continue this one. Anybody else have any other comments before we do that? Can I have a motion to continue
So moved.
and a second?
Second,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstained. Okay, so that one is continued to our next regular meeting. Do we want to look at these other two while we're here just to see what's happening since we didn't have a business meeting?
I say you certainly can.
Yeah, let's give it a shot. So let's look at 779 Hamlet, which is COA 2501268. See what that's all about.
This was a request for action for landscaping. They would like to replace the existing concrete with new concrete per the submitted site plan and to install 2 additional 36-inch bollards between the sidewalk and alley. Staff analysis, while there was no December business meeting, this application was placed on the agenda for the commission to review due to the proposed placement of the 2 additional bollards. The bollards from the site plan, as you can see, are proposed to be placed directly between the end of the sidewalk and the alley, so it's kind of near or in the right of way. In addition to commission review, because it is close to the right of way or in the right of way, the applicant will also likely need review and approval from building and zoning before installing the bollards. Our recommendation on this one was continuation, and that's based on City Code 31613A and the Italian Village Guidelines. Oh,
Oh,
we
yeah,
might
it's
have
here
that.
right now. Which application are you here for?
692 North Vine Street.
Oh, yeah, okay, we were just talking about that. So we actually moved to continue it already because you weren't here.
Sorry.
But I don't know, what procedurally, what can we do?
I've actually had this happen. Just a motion to reopen the case. You need a second and an affirmative vote, and then you can re-talk about it and rediscuss and also then revote again.
Okay, so why don't we just what do we need to do with the one we have open right now?
Move forward and come back if that's what you prefer.
Okay, sounds good. So that's what we'll do. So can I have a motion to reopen case? Oops, I gotta find it, of course, because I just COA 2501292.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so it's reopened. So now we are on that case. If you could raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Derek Bonar with the Wood
Andy.
Companies.
And do you promise to tell the truth to the best of your ability and your testimony this afternoon?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So we already heard from staff and you missed our discussion, but
Sorry.
now we'll rehab our discussion. That's okay. We're just going fast today because nobody's here. So tell us what your thoughts are and then we'll kind of get back into that.
Perfect. So we've got two, apartment building we've owned for a long time. We've got 2 doors to enter from High Street. The main entrance for the apartment buildings on the back. So the second and third floor, almost all apartments. We've had some issues recently, quite a few of them, of people using that as a water closet and camping and sleeping out there. So On top of that, the door's been pried open. You can see in the arrows there, there's quite a few busts and broken stuff. So we can replace it with the same door, but with our issues that we're having, we think if it was aluminum and glass, it would be a little more transparent and less likely to be someone's home and toilet. Fair?
Makes sense.
I'm open to suggestions on the storefront. If you're like half light glass or, we just typically, it seems like the neighborhood from all our buildings we have down here, are that medium style aluminum door with the clear glass. But if you have suggestions, we're open to it. We're trying to do black because it's pretty much black there and that's about it.
All right. Who wants to talk about the stuff we talked about?
I could start.
Okay.
Sympathetic to what's going on there. That part we didn't know. And I can imagine that that would be kind of jarring if you come down, you try to open the door and from either side and somebody is sitting there. Tough situation, I know. So the thing that we felt like is this is such a nice building and the detailing on the front of it is so nice that we were hoping that there could be something that doesn't go all the way to just straight glass for the entire area of the door. And that maybe that band, I don't know if you could put up the band, Nick. Could you
I'm
show,
sorry, of
that's
course.
okay. Could you show the drawing that shows the wood along the bottom of the facade?
Along the,
The
drawing
wood
here?
trim piece at the bottom of the windows.
Oh,
Of
just
the
like
actual
Of the building
frontage of the
itself.
building.
Oh,
I'm,
okay,
I'm
yes.
familiar.
Of course.
Yeah, so just so that if you had something that wasn't so contemporary, completely glass, there could be a little bit of trim on the bottom, maybe on the sides. One of the things that we are asking for is more details about the door itself, the exact widths and how a drawing that shows how this door would fit in there. Then the other thing that we talked about was the transoms. We noticed that there's a double transom. If you look at where the gallery sign is and maybe zoom into that
I think this picture
door.
might show well, one of these
I
guys.
think there's actually a drawing of it. Yeah, and so there's this double transom and you can see how that aligns with the sign band to each side of it. That if there's a way that that could be, to make sure that you're incorporating that, we thought maybe making the door taller and only having the one transom sign band kind of going across there. But just really all of those things looked at so that you're retaining this really nice historic character of the building, as well as then compromising and giving you some visibility that you need. How'd I do?
No, it's a great run. Anyone, any other thoughts to add?
Nope, I think she covered it. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure you're clear that essentially how you have those two wood panels above your door, we were wondering if you could eliminate the bottom one and have that door full height there to match. You see the 686.
Yeah, they're a little funky because both sides are a little bit different. So I think it was a taller door probably originally, like whenever the building was built. I think the 6 panel was probably when we renovated the building in the early 80s, like when it was Rigsby's back in the day. Because it's like they're different heights. They're just all kind of weird. So we probably to get a normal-ish size door. It's a 6'8" door now. They're about. It's already been cut and trimmed, and they're both not 6'8", but they're 6'8" in air quotes. So we could go with like a 7-foot or an 8-foot. The 8-foot would be kind of almost all the way up, but it would all need reheadered, and so it would all kind of not get replaced, but need to be kind of loved. But I think we could go with an 8-foot door, and that would basically get you. It would remove that bottom transom, within a close proximity. And you guys would rather see a more historic looking door. I know that sometimes we get in trouble when it's historic looking but not historic. That's why we were thinking storefront.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting spot here because you have like these two setback portions that, I mean, they're of the facade, but they're also very distinct, I think, on what they function as. So I'd be okay with it being a little less.
I
storefront.
like
I would prefer the wide style at a minimum instead of the medium.
Which would
And
be
then
fine.
potentially some type of,
Like SDLs?
yeah, because you had brought up the idea that if there's gonna be that like a bar in the middle,
Yeah.
you're gonna be able to see that from the outside.
I don't think by occupancy counts, we'll need to have a full panic bar, but the one I highlighted, that like, what is that, a 3/4 inch tube? You know, that's like a
Oh,
more,
yeah.
Yeah, I
less,
think making that thicker and maybe having them, it's like get to where you were.
yeah, I'd be happy doing the wide style. And we looked at a half panel door, like half glass, but it felt like it was trying too hard, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
good try.
Busier.
Yeah, but if you would rather see a wide style, I'm totally open to that. And if you want us to put SDLs in it, I mean, it's not that horribly
know.
expensive.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Okay.
I think it's better without.
Okay. So wide style, 8 foot.
Would frosting the glass be better or worse?
I don't know. I think that may harm your problem.
Okay,
you know?
no, yeah.
I mean,
No,
that's- I don't
we
know for
prefer, I
you.
mean, it's
Yeah.
just a staircase behind it. It's
Is the other
nothing.
glass completely clear or is it tinted at all?
I think all the other storefront glasses, that historic, what is it, Starfire glass or whatever that like ultra clear stuff is.
I think from a security standpoint, it's better to see somebody that's
Yeah.
standing there than having a frosted
Yeah.
tubes.
Yeah.
Okay, not to keep putting these things off on other people since we didn't have a business meeting, but is anybody interested in doing a subcommittee for this one or not? You want to wait till they have more information next month?
Would we, I guess would would it just be moved to approve if they
Yeah.
can do the 8 foot?
Yeah.
No panic hardware, 8 foot tall?
Yeah, I think we just
Wide
want to
style.
see the final drawing of the door, so we know it's the right
Yeah,
keeping. it
So
up.
3.0, 8 foot, wide style.
yeah.
It's roughly, I think if they're both different, it'll be like roughly like a 1x6 on each side. We can do that in real wood. We'll paint it black to kind of
Got it.
hide as much of the frame as possible.
Staff, are you okay with that, this level of description for you to take that on, or would you rather have a subcommittee to take a look at it?
Or would you have a drawing?
I say we can definitely take it, like have it be to staff. I just want more detail on like what final materials you want us to review, I think. Like, do
Okay.
you want us just like this level or do you want a drawing or?
I mean, as long as you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. but-
Okay.
I think we should have a drawing. It doesn't have to be elaborate, but just so that we make sure that we're on the same page.
And then, so with all the other details, was that enough with regard to the wider style, 8 foot, wood trimmed?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, with that, somebody ready to make a motion?
I can never operate. these
688.
This is 688, correct?
Okay. I can do it. So wait, was it a sub or staff?
No.
Thanks, staff.
Okay. So motion to approve COA 2501292 with the condition that the applicant will be submitting a drawing showing an 8 foot wide style door with
8 foot height.
Sorry, what?
You said wide, 8 foot height, right?
Okay, 8 foot height with a wide style door.
There we go. Oh, I got you. Comma.
Comma.
I just, you said it right. I didn't understand.
Want an 8 foot wide
Okay.
door in there?
Yes.
And then no panic hardware shown. I think that was it, correct?
Clear glass.
Clear glass, yes.
Wood painted black, did you say that?
With trim
Match
around
for
the
the
door
rest of the.
to match the existing surrounding trim.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed and abstentions. All right. Thanks a lot.
I
Thanks
appreciate you
for
guys
making it in.
Reopening it.
Yeah, hey,
Thank
no
you.
problem. We're just clicking through today. Okay, let's go back to what we were just talking about, 79 Hamlet Street, which is already open.
Yes.
So, I guess I'm seeing the poles on this drawing.
Yes.
Would they be in the real world?
Here.
Yeah,
There and
right
there.
outside.
Oh, I see, next to where the sidewalk comes out.
Which is bizarre. It's almost like they need 3, not 2. I'm actually like, and that's not
I
even.
don't really understand. Well, can I say something?
Oh, yeah.
So I was gonna say, they say this one, know why it is we're getting such abbreviated drawings these days, but there's no detail. You still need a detail through concrete showing if it's 4-inch concrete, what's the base and the sub base underneath that. And then they also need to show, is that going to be a turn down slab so that there is a kind of edge to it that can take up the variations in the driveway. And then in the 2 bollards that are in there, which I really don't, if there is a curb, why do they need bollards?
I
But
don't
they're
think there's
showing
an
the,
actual curb. I think it's the edge of the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the,
But
I
well,
believe-
then that kind of counts as a turn down slab, but not exactly. But then they're showing them so that they're partially in the concrete and partially out of the concrete, which would not be something that you could do. So they need to think that through, what they're really trying to do there.
and so with those, is there support for the bollards at this location with the, okay, I was just,
No.
I'm trying to clarify. I was not sure on
Yeah,
that
and
at first too.
I'm trying to get a sense of it's even in their yard or in the right of way. It's just a
it
little
doesn't make
hazy.
sense. The bollards that are in the other location, the support is that they're protecting mechanical equipment.
And they're on the property, that's in the other side of the concrete.
But to protect the entrance of your sidewalk, but not your porch, like what, like at that point, are we having a bollard every 5 feet or not 5 feet, but 3 feet? It doesn't make any, they would need to tell us why they want those bollards.
Yeah, I think it's just that discussion.
Anticipate, and I know there'll be a continuation. People are coming around that corner on the alley and
Sure.
disrupting it. So I think that's the motivation, but I completely agree with all of the commissioner's comments, and I'll relate to you though, just to provide that context as well.
I mean, we have a lot of houses on alleys that don't have bollards.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
I think we would want to be very careful.
I think one of the advantages here too is that it looks like they have room for stone
Yeah,
to put some more rocks closer to the front of it, right?
yeah. And they
That's
have
what-
bushes that are providing height.
I was gonna ask about like alternatives to bollards, but they're open to anything other than.
Yeah, something
Um,
more like natural.
Yeah,
Mhm.
something natural. I guess I don't know.
Why do they want the bollards?
They don't want their house hit.
Is there a reason they need concrete? That sidewalk?
As opposed to like compressed gravel or something?
Or as opposed to it just
Grass.
being grass.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like, so I think one thing that might be an interesting discussion with them, because since it doesn't appear that sidewalk really goes anywhere, is that what would they be interested in maybe like instead of like a lower decorative bollard without the concrete? And more of them, but it would be.
Oh, that's
along the
interesting.
alley.
Like a stone.
Yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
Yeah, on a little wall or something, like something back there that was more delineating the edge of the alley, and then it's grass on the other side, because right now, I like you said, John, I'm not really sure what the purpose of this sidewalk is.
And I also wonder if they truly understand the reason this concrete has broken up is because it wasn't leveled out.
Right.
So the
Carl was
cost to
right.
Install that concrete is correctly is significant.
Well, there, like,
That's what I was
you need
saying
the
about,
detail, right?
Yeah.
about the base, yeah,
Yeah.
because this just, they obviously didn't install that correctly.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna need a curb.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be reinforced in some way in order for this.
But you can take the concrete and pour it like this, so that you don't have to do a separate curb, which costs a whole lot more money.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if, I think they need to look at it.
But I'm
So I think-
with Joe, why do they even
Yeah.
need this? If they wanted a walkway, so you weren't walking on the road, you could just do a compressed gravel. That would be a fraction of the cost. It would look better.
I would save the money and walk in the alley myself, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
You would say what?
I would save the money and walk in the alley. It's just me.
yeah.
Or they can plant
They
something
could
here.
just plant hedges all along
Yeah.
there, so people aren't going to run into their house.
The downspout
I saw
is
that.
like smashed up against the concrete, which can't be helping their.
Yeah, I think we need a discussion.
Yeah.
I think is
Would the commissioners like to see any sort of survey or property line study for
At
this
lea-
application?
Yeah, doesn't have to necessarily be a survey at this point, but if they have a survey, that'd be awesome. But even if they could just get an estimated edge of property versus the edge of the alley, just from whatever public sources are available. As long as we started with that, then we can at least have the discussion. If they have a survey, that's awesome, but I'm not counting.
Asking them why they want this concrete sidewalk.
I have an example of an alley loaded property with bollards, but no sidewalk. That's
Yeah, where's
similar.
Yeah.
If you want to pull it up on the Google Street, it's on the corner of Mount Pleasant and like East 4th. I could probably get this address. 1166 Mount Pleasant.
It would help if I opened it in Chrome.
You just got binged. Being the search engine that never quite found the right thing ever. I love it. All right.
Now if you just like turn around like a 180. So right there to the left.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good example.
Yeah,
That's much more, yeah, good call.
This is to keep people from driving into their house?
Yes.
Is that-
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially like
Especially back
it's a
in.
problem.
bigger trucks, like delivery trucks who turn down the wrong way. Like I've seen a semi trailer try to go down this alley before.
all the buildings around me
All
plus
back,
mine
yeah.
have been hit by cars.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I do think, not that we need to keep piling things on your plate, but another thing I think would be an interesting discussion kind of across historic neighborhoods is what are appropriate bollards and like some kind of set of standards for
Yeah.
where, when and where they go in. Because we're just totally making it up.
Allowing something like that. So
Right.
what are they
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah, that's.
You know, what are
pretty
their
epic.
natural alternatives? And they have even tighter alleys than we do. So I'd like to see
It's,
that.
it's typically just to repair the curb and relay the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
But like, do they have bollards anywhere?
Any
Like, do
safety
they have any
measure?
protection for, like, can you remember with?
only in front of gas meters typically are they permitted, like as like an actual like code standard requirement.
They also have like their alleys are kind of like curbed alleys. 'Cause
Yeah.
Which ours are obviously. So they're,
Right.
like free.
Yeah.
You have brick homes
We
rather
were a little
than-
bit more.
Woodhouse.
Yeah, we were definitely more boring, for sure.
But that's terrible.
Okay, that's interesting. So I think that's
You
it's
know,
worthy
they
of
just
a,
installed those.
it's worthy of a discussion. So if they can come in and we can kind of talk about it further.
I was gonna say, did that come through?
It's a good question.
All right, so with that, I think I would recommend that we continue this one, if everybody's all right with that.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion on that one to continue?
So moved.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions. All right, that is continued to our next regular scheduled meeting. And then one more to go.
Who's the second there?
I'm sorry, I missed it too. Is it
Me.
Carla? Okay. Which one did I miss?
The 4th Street.
Fourth Street. Yeah. All right, Fourth Street. So I'll open, oops, I blew it. I shut it. We'll open COA 250127872 North Fourth Street. All right.
This is a request for action for an exterior building alteration for the installation of a mural. To paint a 4-story mural on the south elevation for the submitted materials and rendering. Noting that the mural does meet the requirements outlined in the short north design guidelines for murals, but we note that the proposed sealant for the mural has a 5-year product life cycle. So HPO staff would recommend the commission require the applicant submit a long-range maintenance plan to ensure the mural's condition is maintained properly on a high visibility side of the structure. Our recommendation was approval with the condition of a long-range maintenance plan, but without the applicant, they can't agree to that. So of course, it be a continuation in that case. The basis for that recommendation is the short north design guidelines on murals.
Could we make them the motion just contingent upon whether they agree to that?
I think because it's like an additional material, you could, but if it were a change to the application overall, then they'd have to be present, I think. But because you're just saying, if you submit this, then it's okay, I think it would be allowable.
Gotcha. So just real quickly, my take is since it's, since this fits a wall that we say we can do art on, I'm in support of it. I will also say, and again, we don't get to comment on the art. Living in Jeffrey, I think I got the point already what it used to be. I could move on from the representative art about that. Not to say we shouldn't do this one. It's just, I feel like the theme is now reached its conclusion with this one. So I just am putting that out in the world, ether, so future artists can be more in tune with whatever muse they have and don't have to necessarily tap into the historic legacy of the industrial section of the area. So that said, I don't really have anything else about it. Who else has comments, thoughts?
Is there issue with page 10 of the application where there's a deadline?
That's them basically saying, please approve this so that I can tell GCA that I'm doing
So-
this. And yet they're not here.
Yeah.
Artists.
Yes. But that would be, I mean, if you all continue it today, that would not have any bearing. Like they would just have to wait on theirs and go to GCAC. It's no agreement with the commission or city or anything. So-
Right.
But yeah, this is one of the locations, like if everyone remembers, we've been
Yep.
going through these locations with the Short North Arts District. So we've approved this location that they can cover the whole thing. So now it's just like the final, like, yes, go do it. And we aren't allowed commenting on the art itself
Right.
when it comes to our approval.
Although Jason just.
Well, you
did.
can opine.
I didn't say I would vote for it. I can't base my vote on it. I actually, one thing I like about this is the chance to get rid of this giant phone number on the side of the building.
Yeah.
So any thoughts on what we like to do today?
I mean, I'm fine with approving it and just saying with the condition that they agree to submit a maintenance plan.
I agree.
Agree too.
All right, is that your motion?
That's my motion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions. All right, look at that, we did it. Okay, I think that reaches the end of our application agenda, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, sounds good. Other business today?
We have none here.
Okay, when do we do the reappointment stuff of officers? I know Morgan called me about it. Is that
January.
January,
It'll
okay.
be on your January agenda. to
Okay,
vote
sounds good.
Chair.
All right,
Do we have a new person
what's that?
Oh, with
We
the
have
new
it.
commissioner.
to take?
Oh, I haven't heard yet. I haven't heard. Oh, do you know at all? Do you know what the timeline is for the appointment?
Oh, for the vacant
Yeah.
chair. I've not heard any names being sent up from our office yet, so I
Okay.
believe our office is still identifying a name to send up to the director.
Okay, sounds good. I know people have sent stuff in from last time.
Well, I wasn't sure what to do because someone had approached me who I think would be good.
Yeah.
Email it.
They can email, yeah, the IVC email and we'll forward it on to the committee in our office that selects candidates and things.
Another thing, just 2 seconds. We were discussing, Nick and I were discussing about the Wonder Bread, Wonder Bead, Wonder Bed sign as it continues to lose letters. So, in checking with the basically enforcement, our best mechanism to get it rolling is to make a 311. So anybody that feels like going on and doing a 311, I will do one. I'm sure my wife will do one because she really hates it. And I'm going to mention it tonight at Italian Village Society that, hopefully if we get a steady stream of people complaining about it, that will keep the heat on because they are supposed to be maintaining it as part of that overall development. So it's essentially is an unmaintained portion of the property. So I wouldn't be surprised, and this is total speculation. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they came in and wanted to, change the whole thing over to simulated LED or simulated neon.
Mhm.
At this point, though, it's just like burning out like one thing at a time, which first of all sucks because it's cool, but also it's kind of like one of the signature things of the neighborhood. And, if you go into any gift shop that has Italian Village stuff, it's probably one of 3 things that are on the picture. And now it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It just looks dilapidated and junky. So anyway, that's my new thing. Try and do something about it. Another thing, I do want to, while we're just sitting here talking, the Short North Parking, whatever the committee is called that I'm on, I can never remember the name of it, that it meets once a year, where we used to get a whole bunch of money for the parking in lieu of fee back in the day, which of course no one does it anymore since the code changed. Regardless, it's the group that interfaces with Betsy's group and that, basically there are a number of mobility processes that go through the short north that we authorize. And, the continued things are free bus passes for residents of the neighborhood, assistance with Lyft rides for people who work on the street, all kinds of things like that. So it's good. It's been a really successful program. The one I wanted to mention to all of us was that the city is piloting micromobility corrals on the side streets along the short north. So you may have seen some on the side streets. I believe Warren has one. And gosh, I just saw another one. I think maybe on third, second, I can't remember. Anyway, they're around the side and they're essentially painted boxes where a parking space would be. And it has a symbol of micromobility, like a scooter, a bike symbol in them. And they're working with the two scooter companies to geofence the trips, which means that it's restricted on where you can park those when you're near High Street. In other words, you have to send a picture of it in the box, and the AI part of their analysis theoretically will reject your trip if it doesn't end in there. So could be really cool because if it works there, they're open to considering it maybe for Fourth or Fifth or other places around the village and around the other places of the city. And it obviously would reduce clutter of scooters and things on the sidewalks dramatically. So that's kind of what's going on. Other than that, it's kind of cooking along. Other business, any thoughts? All right. Do I have a move to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn. Do I have to say the meeting of?
I don't think so. We're not that formal. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?